want to start this morning by asking for your input, by asking you to respond to this question. When you think of images, of people, of power, who do you think, and what's their power all about? Images of people, power, who do you think of? And what's that power all about? Just shout it out. Political power. So it's about the office that they might hold. Great, thanks. What else? Media power. What's it all about? What's their power?
They can present the news in whatever slant they want.
Okay, so they have the opportunity to present the news in whatever slant they want. What else did I hear? Dictatorship, right. And what's that power like? I mean, that's just a fully controlling, domineering power, right? Right. What else? What? Control? Power and control seem to be sometimes synonymous. Yeah,
Doctors and nurses.
Doctors and nurses. Well, what's their power about?
They hold the power of healing.
They have the power of healing. And they also have great expertise, right? Yeah. Doug? People power. What do you mean by people power? What's that? Oh, getting better and stronger. Okay. All right. What's that?
Authors.
I'm sorry.
Authors.
Right. To communicate things.
Money.
Wisdom. Wisdom is power. Knowledge is power. Money is power.
Preachers.
What's that?
Preachers.
Bankers, did you say? Wait, I didn't. What did I hear over here? Oh, preacher. Oh, no wonder he was laughing so hard. and this power, it can be used for good or it can be abused. I think about what's been in the news these past many months. Whether it's stories from the Me Too movement or from misconduct in our churches to even the story that has come up about our Supreme Court nominee, whether that be true or not. In all of these stories, it's not about sex, really. It's about power, right? And the abuse of it. The lessons that we have just heard today, at the heart of them, they're all about power as well. And let me tell you from the start that they completely turned upside down the notion of power for their audiences. So be prepared to be challenged and unsettled. First lesson was from Proverbs, right? That begins, what is it? A capable wife who can find? Well, that probably got your attention out there, didn't it? Let me clarify something. This is not some sort of Hebrew classifieds going on here, not some kind of ancient in search of ad. What it is the end of a long and powerful poem, Proverbs is. And it's coming together to provide a picture of wisdom and of power. And it personifies all this in the image of a capable wife. Now, actually, one of the things that I read while preparing for this sermon was that word capable is kind of the translation that we hear, but the ancient Hebrews would have understood that word a little bit differently. It would have been translated more to mean something like a warrior wife. That's impressive, right? Wisdom and power as a warrior wife. This audience first would have been astounded that Proverbs would end with a personification of wisdom and power by a woman. Right, you saw where I was going with this. Because the ancient Hebrew society, it was a patriarchal society. Power and might, not in a woman. So it immediately as they hear this, wait, we're talking about a warrior wife, a capable wife, we're talking about a woman, and they would be jarred, their sensibilities shaken. And then listen again to the qualities that are captured here, that are listed in Proverbs. She rises up while it is still night to provide for her household. That's probably actually pretty familiar to some of you here. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out to the needy. Strength and dignity are her clothing. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. There's no mention of brute force, of control, of domination. It is instead about providing, about caring for those in need, about walking with dignity and speaking with kindness. That is the personification of power and wisdom. How different from what we see today. Then we get the gospel from Mark. And we go from personification to incarnation, and we have this character, Jesus, who's standing right in front of them. And he is giving his disciples his own lesson on what it is to be a person of power. The lesson actually started last week. If you were here last week, you would have heard Peter identify Jesus as the Messiah. Now, for the Jews, there was no more powerful figure than the Messiah. They had been waiting for this Messiah. They had been expecting this Messiah to come. And here Jesus is. But just on the heels of naming him as the Messiah, he tells his disciples, this is last week and then again this week, I'm going to experience suffering. I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be rejected by the chief priests and elders and scribes and handed over for death. He tells them that, and they reject this. They can't handle this. They don't expect this. Because, you see, this has nothing to do with the images of power that they had fixed in their mind. Power is not to be vanquished. Power is to be almighty. The power of the Messiah is to dominate, is to be the King of Kings. Power is not to be suffering and to be handed over. This image of power that Jesus is giving them does not fit with anything that they had ever imagined before, and so they reject it. And what follows is, well, it's a little bit funny and a little bit sad. Jesus tells them about his future, and Mark writes they just don't understand, and there's silence, right? And then Jesus sort of catches them. What's going on? What are you all talking about? And you know what they're talking about. Do you remember? Did you hear? So what they're talking about is, well, which one among us is going to be seen as the best? I mean, talk about being a part of the Get a Clue Club here. Jesus is speaking of power in terms of humility and in terms of service, and they don't get it. They're talking about, well, who's going to be the best? Who's going to be the top dog? Who's going to be the most powerful one? And it's kind of sad. I wonder, did Jesus think, will you ever understand? What do I need to do to show you? He tries a different approach. He takes a child into his arms, and he says, whoever welcomes one such as these, in my name welcomes me, and welcomes the one who sent me. We have sentimentalized that vision. We have all kinds of pictures of Jesus with children in his arms. We love it. It warms our hearts. And for the disciples, it would have left them totally confused. Because children weren't to be messed with. Children were to be cared for by the servants. Children had zero standing, no status. The heads of the households didn't care for the children, the servants did, and the Messiah wouldn't be messing with the children at all either. You have to understand, as he takes the child into his arms, just the very sight of that would have left them thinking, Jesus, what are you doing messing with these kids? Come on, we got something serious to do. But do you see what he's doing? Just like the author of Proverbs, is he's turning power upside down. He's turning the nature of power upside down, and he's turning the focus of power inside out. Power is not about control or domination. It's not for our benefit, our own personal benefit or exploitation. Power is about tenderness, about compassion. Power is for the purpose of caring for those who are weakest, of bringing those from the margins in so that they might not be alone, and of providing justice for those who have no such power. This is the holy image of power. And it's very different from the images of power we have in our own world today. If you're not a little bit unsettled by it, if it doesn't make you squirm, then you just don't get it. Because it's pretty upsetting. It's pretty unsettling. It's pretty different. We, as those who struggle to understand what it is to be Christian, have no better place to begin living into that Christian life than understanding how it is we might exercise our power. And by understanding how it is we might expect our leaders to exercise their power as well. Exercising it with compassion, with tenderness, with concern for justice. And I know that there's some of you, you're sitting in the pews and you're clear that you have power. And there are some of you, and you're sitting in the pews and you don't know if you have any power at all. Today's lessons tell us all that each of us have our own power. Each of us have our own power. And I want to invite you to go home and reflect upon how there is power inside of you, each of you, just waiting to be turned loose. And today's lessons nudge us, challenge us, how to focus our powers on those places that are for the kingdom of God, that are about justice, that are about kindness, that are about compassion. And I want to invite you to go home and think about how you might focus your powers in just that way as well. Because here's the thing. Until we get clear on what holy power really looks like, and on how we might exercise that power in a faithful manner, we cannot be in right relationship with one another. The news stories show that all too powerfully and painfully. And there's one thing more. As long as we're not in right relationship with one another, we can't be in right relationship with our God either.